Welcome to a Gallen of Questions. My name is Pat Gallen, and this past season, not a good one for the Philadelphia 76ers. We know they fell on hard times, injuries. Embiid, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey played G Leaguers throughout the year. Now there is a hope that with the third pick in the upcoming NBA draft, things can start to change back in a proper direction. So here today to talk about the NBA draft and more, my friend and yours from PHLY, Devon Givens, is in the house. What's up, dude?
It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Yeah, different conversation than last time we did this.
I think you were here, what, like
at the beginning of the season?
Beginning of the season, right? And it was like, this could work. This could happen.
Could Joel play 60 games and, be there, and Paul George coming in? Totally different, man.
Completely different. Now we're talking about the best prospects in the draft and what the Sixers might do with that third overall pick. So that's why you're here, obviously, because, look, we've been talking about Eagles for so long now. Phillies are hot. Union looked good. I figured the draft coming. Got to get people ready. I don't know I would use the term excited about what's about to happen, but at least get them the information they need to know about what's going down here.
They at least just missed the excitement part of it with not getting the number 1 overall pick. And
I had my fingers crossed. I just knew it wasn't going to happen.
I know, man. I know. But that would have been the level of excitement that you're talking about.
That would have been ridiculous.
Unfortunately, they didn't, but they did keep the pick.
They did.
That was a big source of concern if they would keep the top 6 protected pick.
Yep.
Who would it have gone to, everybody? The Oklahoma City Thunder went away from advancing to the NBA Finals.
Of riches.
How about that? So here we are, though, and they are still in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, they're still in a good spot. So I've loaded up the can. We're going to go in various directions, so it's not just draft-related questions. There will be some Sixers stuff in here, obviously. Yes. Maybe another one thrown in. So you do the honors and grab one.
All right, let's see.
We'll see where we start.
Let's see. We start with over under 75% chance Paul George remains with the Sixers through the season.
75% chance.
75%.
Over under that he remains.
I give it an over.
Okay.
Because I do think he bounces back. He can't be any worse than he was a season ago where he averages 16, 17 points a game, plays 41 of those games, has the knee injury early on in the preseason, re-injures that again a few games in. The injuries that happened in that same leg, and then eventually the pinky that they just decided to shut him down for right after the All-Star break. So I would say over because I do think that they will be better than the 24-win team that we saw.
Yeah.
I also believe that when you look at teams like Boston potentially taking a step back, potentially Milwaukee taking a step back because of Damian Lillard's injury, and speaking of Boston, of course, because of Jason Tatum and possible trades that they may make, I think the Sixers, even though other teams will show themselves to be pretty good, the East isn't great.
Yeah.
And the Sixers will still be in a pretty good position. And then you're trading a big piece of your team to then go and replace them with another big piece. So when you're talking about continuity and all of that, I think 75% chance right now he will be there. If anything, it's next offseason.
Next offseason. Okay.
If it gets to that point.
Sure, if it gets to that point.
Right.
Couple of things you said there that I think are interesting. One, you said it can't get any worse. Have you met the Philadelphia 76ers?
My bad. My bad.
I don't mean that in a...
Yeah, you're right.
But
you're right.
When you think it's gotten worse, like this past year, it continued to get worse. I'm with you, though, in that obviously if he plays, if he's healthy, he's a 20-point-per-game scorer, like rolling out of bed, and you would assume that he would resume that kind of play if everything is good with the...
So I'll rephrase. He just simply bounces back from the terrible, disastrous season that he has.
Perfect. Rephrasing right there. All right, next question. Outside of the big three, plus Jared McCain, which player on the Sixers roster that's left excites you most?
Justin Edwards. This time last year, projected late first, second round pick out of Kentucky, Philly guy, undrafted. After Summer League, Pat, I didn't know what he was, as a two-way player, I didn't know what he was going to be.
Yeah.
He didn't look all that great in Summer League, and we got a chance to look at him in practice in Summer League. Still, not all that great. But then he emerged, and he showed some things. He got a standard NBA contract because of his play. He got extended time because of all the injuries, and as you pointed out, the G Leaguers getting an opportunity. He took advantage of his opportunity. So in the league today where you look at so many 3-and-D, as we call them, where you can defend and shoot threes, he showed that. And he showed that against real competition that was still fighting for playoff positioning in the Eastern Conference and the West, and he composed himself pretty well. So with that, he may not be a starter. He could be the fifth starter. He could be a Jumaine Jones, Mark Ivoroni type of player where he's just thrown in there as that fifth starter, but Quinton Grimes or Jared McCain comes off the bench, and the more that pop there is more from them. So I'm curious. Year 2,
that's a good one.
He's Joel Embiid loves him. Paul George loves him. Tyrese Maxey's working out with him already in Texas in the offseason. Justin Edwards is my answer.
And people forget, it wasn't that long ago, before he went to Kentucky, if high schoolers could be drafted, he probably would have been the number 1 overall pick. And that's not that long. What's that, 3 years ago now? 2-3 years ago? So the talent is there. It's undeniable. We'll see if he can put it together. That is a great answer. There you go. Next question from Devon.
Next one. Over under 40 games from Joel Embiid this year.
40 games.
I'll go over.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go over.
Positivity.
If you would have put it like 52, I might have gone under. But for the 40, I'll go over. He played... what did he play this year? 19, I think it was.
Something like that, yeah.
I think it was 19 games this year. We saw Joel. We saw a different Joel. It's really tough to predict how many games he plays. Yeah. So I'll go over on the 40.
Okay.
I don't know how high that goes. I don't believe it'll get any lower.
Will Quinton Grimes be a Sixer next season?
Yes.
Yes.
They cannot do much this offseason.
Correct.
So their acquisition this offseason is making sure that they bring him back.
Okay.
He did enough where the number might get a little crazy, where they have to really think about it. But I'd imagine he's their player already. He's under, as a restricted free agent, he's under, their umbrella.
Yep.
And I think, talks have already begun of
Sure.
what that number might look like. So he's one of the better guards, one of the better free agents that'll be available, be out there. But I do believe that he will, in fact, be back with the Sixers. Unless something outrageous, someone throws him a crazy offer sheet.
Sure.
And the Sixers are, okay, I can't do that.
From time to time, guys will surprise you to that level. I mean, that was one of the more surprising seasons I can remember from a Sixers player.
I mean, he had 46. He had a 44-point game in there. They almost beat the Houston Rockets on the road. I think that was a 44-point game.
Yeah.
And he was tremendous.
That streak of what, 30 plus, 25 plus, whatever it was.
Yeah, it was yeah, exactly. And he did that coming in again. He knew what his role was going to be. That was probably going to be coming off the bench, but he was inserted to being the starting shooting guard. He was the focal point of the offense once Tyrese Maxey and Paul George went down. He also played some point guard where he handled the basketball. So they got to look at him in both roles. So he will provide a really good opportunity to showcase his skills. Hopefully, as you said, with everyone else out there on the floor, because we didn't see that. We didn't get a chance to see that. So that would be interesting, but I do think he's back.
The numbers will obviously look different if everybody is healthy, but to have that kind of guy come off the bench, a little Vinnie Johnson microwave type player.
Or a starter.
Or it could be a starter. Could be a starter.
Yeah, let me see. Sorry about this.
No, you're good. Right. You're good.
Let's see. What do we have next? We have... Outside of Flagg and Harper, who are your top 3 players for the Sixers at number 3?
Top 3 players remaining after, because we believe Cooper Flagg will go number 1. Dylan Harper
should
go
to number 2.
Should go number 2.
I'll go with Ace Bailey.
Okay,
number 1 for me from
guy.
Rutgers.
Okay.
I'm more on the Ace side of things than a lot of other people. I get the flaws, but I'm on there. Number 2, VJ Edgecombe. So those are the 2 really easy ones.
Okay.
And my sleeper. At this point, it's not really much of a sleeper anymore, but Trey Johnson, 6'6" shooting guard out of Texas. The guy can score the basketball. You can argue he's the best shooter in the NBA draft, with some others like Con Knipple and a few other players that are out there. But Texas's Trey Johnson, he's one that I really, really like his scoring ability. Has his flaws where he has that laser focus of scoring sometimes, where he doesn't pass enough. Defensively, same issues as well. So like many of these players, they all have a flaw from after 1 and 2. Everybody has one. It's just one of which one can you stand to deal with the most, especially for a team like the Sixers, who, again, should have aspirations of being a playoff team once again. Can this guy contribute during the regular season? And if the coach calls on him in the postseason, can he give you some meaningful minutes?
Seems like the consensus is that Ace Bailey is the third best player, but you mentioned some of the warts in his game that stand out. But the kid's 6'8", a little over 200 pounds, great pull-up shot, almost 18 points per game last year at Rutgers, about to be 19 years old, crazy wingspan. What are some of the issues, though, when you look at his game that people are a little bit leery of?
Putting the ball on the floor.
Yeah.
That's one of the problems. The passing, not enough of that people get a little worried about.
Sure.
Finishing at the rim, you would like to see him do that a little bit better as well. And just, once again, just not being one of those players has that laser focus of being only a scorer. He can score. He can be an end of shot clock kind of guy that can get his own. But he also, can he buy into a role, especially in this situation where he's going to be like the fifth option, Pat, on the floor.
Sure.
They're going to call plays for him because he's the third overall pick. So you have to find ways to get him going. But he's going to have to also adjust to a new role that is unfamiliar for what he has been in high school and in college. So those are the main things. The back end of that, as I just pointed out, with fitting into his role, that's something that should be pretty easy.
Sure.
It's the other stuff that he has to make sure that to become a really good pro, to do those things.
Daryl Morey is a noted star hunter.
Does
he have star potential?
He has star written over him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But it's all got to fall into place.
It has to.
Yeah.
It has to.
Of that group that you mentioned, he's got the greatest star potential?
I think he has the most star potential, but he could also have, some bust potential to it as well, of not reaching that ceiling of being that star.
Sure.
It's up to him.
Yeah.
It really is up to him. He has the attributes as far as the measurements and the 6'8", the wingspan, and all of that. If he puts everything else together and it becomes a complete package, he can be really good. And it's funny because the pros like him.
Yeah.
Paul George being one of them. Carmelo Anthony, another. Seeing some of the other players speak of him, of how good he is, right there in the same class as, just under, but right there alongside.
And what about the guy in the middle, VJ
Edgecombe? Yeah. I mean, 6'5", with good measurements at the draft combine. And with those measurements, 6'5", that's really good for him to be a defensive guard in the league. Yep. His shot has to improve. He can put the ball on the floor, but he needs to tighten that up. Again, a young player just has to tighten up on, right? Being a certain player in the league. Defensively, though, is where he's going to really get his run. He can finish out in transition in the open floor. Crazy athletic. So when you're talking about the arena going nuts, he makes one of those types of plays in transition, maybe a backdoor finish, a lob. That's the kind of guy.
I was reading the Ringer does a great job with their big board before the draft, and one of the player comps was Kentavious Caldwell-Pope bitten by a radioactive spider. So that kind of shows you what the athleticism is like and what kind of player he could be. Who is the NBA player, just generally speaking, the NBA player more people should be talking about right now in the league?
I would say right now, if I stick with the playoffs, I would say Chet Holmgren.
Okay.
So I was wanting to see if he could step up in the moment and be the guy that he was built to be.
Yeah.
And we talk about fitting into roles. The two All-Stars are your two All-Stars, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, MVP, and then Jalen Williams being an All-NBA player this year. And then Chet with the injury Holmgren coming into the league with the injury. Is he too small to play that position, to play the 5? Can he play next to Isaiah Hartenstein? When they make a change in the adjustment to their lineup, Hartenstein was the one that had to sacrifice coming off the bench for an Isaiah Joe start, where Chet Holmgren is the one that's still there. And he had a phenomenal Game 4 on the road, albeit his hometown, but still in a tough environment where they really needed to take that 3-1 lead, and he was tremendous. So, too, with the rigors of the NBA, especially in the postseason, can he physically be up to the level that he needs to be? He has done a really good job, and I think that people should be talking about how good he is and can be.
That's a good one. I actually thought you would say Jalen Williams, because
thought about it, but I think he was
in the third team All NBA player.
Yeah.
Not a household name, not yet.
No.
NBA circles, obviously.
And second team all defensive.
Yeah. And that's a guy who doesn't play in a huge market that the rest of the country, I think, is probably catching up to. But I like the answer about Chet Holmgren, too, because there was a guy who's supposed to be a league-changing player. Hasn't quite gotten there yet, but just seems like a perfect fit with what's going on with the Thunder right now. Let's go back to the draft. Who is your favorite sleeper in the draft? Do you have a sleeper? Do you have a guy down the list a little bit?
I'll even say in the lottery, and we've talked about this a lot on our PHLY Sixers show. Jeremiah Fears, the point guard out of Oklahoma. Really excited to see him. Doesn't look like it's a fit for Philadelphia because of McCain and Maxey, but I will track wherever he goes.
Yeah,
because
why?
I like the dynamic guard, scoring guard, but not a scoring guard where he doesn't pay attention to the passing side of it. As we would talk about on the show, Pat and Derek and I and Kyle and I, we discuss, man, he would have had so many more assists if those guys were able to catch the ball and finish, right? That kind of player. So Jeremiah Fears is one. He comes from a basketball family. His dad was a college basketball player. His brother plays for Michigan State right now as a freshman as well. So the lineage there is really good. And he's just, Pat, I know you watch, but for the people who may not have, it's tough to watch a lot of college basketball. So, but Jeremiah Fears is a fun one. I'm very curious to see because he's really young, man. He's still 18. He won't be 19 till late. And I think that he has a really good opportunity to be a good player in the league. 6'2",
180, maybe outside shot needs a little bit of work. Shot under 30% from three last year with Oklahoma.
But again, form and the mechanics look good.
Yeah. And that's what you hope for. A couple more here. We're making good time, but let's see what we got. Do you worry about Jared McCain and Tyrese Maxey together long term?
Not as much, as long as they have the wings and big guards.
Okay.
Quinton Grimes, 6'5". Let's say it is Edgecombe or Johnson, 6'5", 6'6". Bigger guards next to them. So what we saw last season in the short glimpse that we did of the 23 games that Jared McCain did play, they showed that it wasn't a problem.
Right.
It wasn't a problem, especially offensively. It wasn't an issue, and both of them at least giving effort defensively. So they dug in. They weren't just pass them off to, all right, get those guys in the switch and let's go to work. Yeah, that's the idea, but they competed.
Right.
And so as long as they have wings and big guards next to them, I think they'll be fine.
So do you think that they can play together 25, 30 minutes a game, or are they going to have to split that time a little bit more?
No, I think it'll be okay.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it'll be okay as long as, again, they have the right complement of players around them with some length, with some size to help them out as far as you're going to get caught in switches.
You are.
You're going to get caught in switches. Just
I
make
like
sure
the answer. Because I want to see them make it work.
I do too.
All right, here's a big one. Sixers trade the 3rd overall pick in a deal for Kevin Durant. Completely possible or completely ridiculous?
I don't think it's ridiculous.
Okay.
It's certainly possible.
Okay.
But I don't think it happens because they're going to want, Phoenix is at least, they're going to want that 3rd pick. I love Kevin Durant. I'm a Philadelphia supporter of Kevin Durant all the way back to leaving OKC and moving on to Golden State.
So long ago.
Still have those arguments, man, and I stand on it. But he is older.
Yeah.
And Daryl Morey talked about getting younger. So you can't give away that 3rd pick if you're going to do so. It's one thing to drop down in the lottery to add a player plus keep your pick in the lottery and still bring in a young player. That's not this case. Now, if it was, as much as we just talked about Jared McCain and the possibility of he and Maxey playing together, I would be more interested in looking at a McCain and George package. For Kevin Durant.
Keeping the 3rd pick.
Keeping the 3rd pick. So no for Kevin Durant. So
if that 3rd pick.
Yeah, if the 3rd pick is involved, I'm out.
Look, it's like anytime Kevin Durant's name is out there in lights,
you
got to pay attention to it.
Absolutely.
But I like what you said in that, look, anything is possible, but it's not completely ridiculous.
It's not completely
Daryl
ridiculous.
Morey, he's
like
a mad scientist, and he loves stars.
He loves stars.
And there's a star right there, and if you can get off of the Paul George contract, if they think that's a little bit too expensive for them, for their liking right now, maybe that makes sense. But We got to bring up the name.
Third pick can't be involved, though. That's
Just
all.
Don't trade
That's all.
the third pick, says
all.
Devon Givens. Last question,
Last
perfect
one.
timing. Who's one trade target that the Sixers should look at that would not involve the third pick?
To a lesser extent, player that we talked about, or at least I brought up when we had a show about Aaron Gordon type role players.
Okay, yeah.
And I'll go to the current playoff situation in the Eastern Conference, Obi Toppin.
Obi Toppin.
Yeah, he signed an extension last summer. He has 3 years remaining on his deal, and it's at a decent number.
It's only like $45 million.
Yeah,
or so.
it's
not
nothing
that bad,
crazy.
which
So
is, in NBA
Right.
terms, it's not that bad.
Yeah, so with him, athleticism, he's a little bit in the older part of where they said 25 and under. It's like, 27, 26, 27, somewhere around there. But he's athletic as all get out, and the switchability with him. You can even go small ball 5, which the Indiana Pacers have done in the postseason with him. And the outside shot is certainly something that you wish was better. But with defensive opportunities in the open floor, 6'9" power forward, if you will, but again, can do a lot of positional things with him.
Sure.
And at that decent number, he's looked pretty good in the postseason.
Yeah.
That would be one for me. That would be one for me. That
He
I
would be
interested in.
an interesting fit, and probably cult hero status written all over him here in Philly.
You dunk on somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You dunk on someone and people fall in love with
Yeah,
you.
a couple of times. Do that and you're all good.
That's the way here. Devon, our time is up. That was really quick. We got through all of it. Tell the people where they can find you.
I appreciate it as always, Pat. You can find me at PHLY Sixers and PHLY Sports on YouTube. Daily show, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. And you'll find us there for all the draft coverage as we lead into the June 25th, June 26th NBA draft, Wednesday,
quick.
Friday, Wednesday, Thursday. Should be a fun time.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you as always.